Hello, my name is Lindsay Lackey, and I am the author of All the Impossible Things. This is a story about a girl who is in foster care in Colorado, and she accidentally causes tornadoes when she's upset. So if you like realistic stories with just a little bit of magic, this one might be for you. I wanted to share 5 facts with you about All the Impossible Things. The first fact is that this story is inspired by my real life. A few years ago, my aunt and uncle, who were in their 50s at the time, decided to become foster parents. And I loved that idea, and it became the seed of the idea for this story. So the characters of Celine and Jackson Groove in All the Impossible Things, who are the foster parents, are actually based pretty heavily on my real life aunt and uncle. The second fact about this book is that all of the animals in this story are named after books in some way. The foster family in the story owns a petting zoo, and Red, my main character, goes to live with them, and she falls in love with all of the different animals in this petting zoo. All of the animals are named after books in some way, either an author or a character or a book title, all sorts of things. So when you read this book, see if you can figure out what everything is named after. The third fact about this book is that the giant tortoise in this book, his name is Tuck Everlasting, is inspired by a real tortoise that I encountered when I was in 5th grade. I went with my family to South Dakota, and we stopped at a place called Reptile World, kind of like Disneyland for snakes. And while we were there, I encountered giant tortoises for the first time in my life. And I was standing there staring at them and thinking that they were kind of boring, because tortoises really just like to move slowly and eat a lot. And as I was thinking this, one of them went, "Oof," and he sneezed, and snot started pouring out of his nose. It got everywhere. It was pooling on the ground by his feet, and it was stuck to his chin and swinging around. It was so gross. That happened to me when I was in 5th grade, but I still remember it, and so I put it into this story. The fourth fact about All the Impossible Things is that it is set in Denver, Colorado, and I grew up in Colorado. I love Colorado. Now I live in California, but I loved writing a book that was set in Colorado. And the fifth and final fact is that the main character, Red, keeps a journal of impossible things. She collects impossible things. Things like bumblebees being able to fly. That should be impossible, but it's not. So she keeps this whole journal of all these impossible things, and it was so much fun to research and find out just how much stuff in the world seems impossible, but it really isn't. So I am a believer of impossible things, and I hope that after you read All the Impossible Things, you will be too. Thanks for reading.